Randy LeBaron from Albion, New York. He's sharing the gospel message. One cup of coffee at a time.
Good morning.
Welcome to this episode of Refill with Randy.
Grab your favorite cup, fill it up,
And let's start this day right
together.
Well, here we are back again with Wende Swick, and just so thankful for you sharing last week and then now sharing again this week. Wende, she's been a missionary, she's been a teacher abroad, she has celebrated Christmas in many different countries, and if you didn't hear last week's episode, go back and listen to that first. And now I'm going to turn things over to Wende as she shares a little bit about some of her experiences that stuck out around the world. Okay. Thank you, Wende.
Thank you. Hi, it's Wende. Good to be back with you to share a little bit more about my Christmas seasons abroad. 1 year teaching in Armenia, I was too ill to travel at Christmas, so I had to cancel my plans for Switzerland, but the second half of my plan carried out healthily. I went to Italy, met with a colleague, and much to my wonderful surprise, January 6th was Christmas celebration time there, and I took a bus for a day trip on my own to a ceramic village not far from Amalfi, on the Amalfi southern coast, and I was kind of taken aback because there were all of these palm branches there was hay on the streets and palm branches on buildings, and I didn't know what was going on, so I inquired, and I found out there'd be a live nativity that evening. So I had a lovely day walking down at the coast, walking on the beach and collecting tiles, washed up tiles and glass pieces, lunch on the beach, and then shopping at the ceramic shops before going to see this live nativity where I actually got to see them dragging the sheep off the truck. And even the human beings were alive. It was a lovely, lovely experience. And then when I got back to Amalfi for the evening, children were going from shop to cafe to other shop, and they were carrying these, it was like in the shape of a Christmas tree, wooden bars with metal things hanging down that were very noisy, and they'd rattle them and shake them, and then the adult diners or shoppers would give them money to get them to go away. And that's an Italian tradition I hadn't heard of previously, but it was really fun to see. And then we saw a gorgeous musical performance, or experienced the Christmas worship and music at the church that night. So in Amalfi, that was a real lovely treat. I'll take you now to Kazakhstan, where I spent 4 years teaching at a missionary children's school, and I loved bringing traditions there to my students, most of whom were American at the time, and it was hard to find American products in Kazakhstan, but in these little kiosks on the street, little shops that were like a little stall with a roof, every once in a while I'd see an American product. And this one year I saw Boy Bears, which are my favorite stuffed animal company, and they had Santa suits sewn on them. And so I bought as many as they had. It was like $2.50, and it probably would have cost me $20 a piece in the States. But I was able to buy them up one or two at a time as they showed up at the kiosk, and I would pray that more would come, and I'd buy them. And eventually I had one for every one of my students, and I had them sitting around the Christmas tree in the classroom and put a sack of candy over each one's shoulder. So that was a nice surprise for them for our Christmas party at my school. But in Kazakhstan, wool products are really lovely. This is a lot of felted wool, animals and things, and I've made some really fun ethnic nativity sets with these, as do some of the believers in the country. And I have little Kazakh Joseph, Mary, and Baby, and a couple of different sets here that just makes life more colorful and beautiful, if you ask me. Again, in Kazakhstan, it's like China. There is not really a freedom of religion, so Christians, because it is an Islamic nation, Christians usually celebrate very privately with believing friends. there's a tradition that I love that in Hispanic culture, in Mexico and other Hispanic cultures, there's a beautiful bright nativity that's often painted. This one is on an ornament. And then I have a Christmas stocking that was sewn with the whole Advent in 3D on the front. That's just gorgeous. And on the back, if you turn the stocking over, it had a little pocket sewn. And I was told that the tradition was that when men went off to war in that culture, they were not allowed to receive communications from their wives and girlfriends at home because it would tug at their heartstrings and they wouldn't be able to give 100% on the war front because they'd be thinking about wanting to get back home to their loved ones, and it would be tearing their minds and hearts in two different directions. So what happened is when they were allowed to receive socks from home, so that the women, when they made their husbands these socks or Christmas stockings, they would put a little love note in the pocket, the hidden pocket. So that kind of is a tradition that keeps on with the Christmas stockings now. One of my absolute favorite places to spend Christmas was in Israel. There I was able to go to Bethlehem 2 different times for Christmas Eve services. There was some security, people assigned, to keep peace there. That was one of the realities on the ground. I was also able to go to Nazareth one year, which was mostly very beautiful. The one hard thing there was to see a big banner that talked about infidels all going to hell, and knowing that was talking about me as a Christian. So that was a disappointment and kind of a weird Christmas experience. But the church and everything else there was lovely. And then, funny enough, when I was in Israel one year, I was going to be traveling for Christmas and going to Norway, Sweden, and Germany and seeing my friends. So I put together these very thoughtful packages. I bought a tray made in Jerusalem, and then a nice ceramic Jerusalem pottery tray. I bought candy made in Nazareth, all individually wrapped on the tray, and then wrapped it with special ribbon and string and all, an ornament, and the ornament from Jerusalem, and I thought from Nazareth. So they had the ornament was from Bethlehem. So they had Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and Nazareth all in one Christmas present, and these were going to my Christian friends and their moms. I thought they'd be really special. Well, when I went to fly, the security people at the airport out of Jerusalem didn't think it was so special. They were taking things apart, and I was in tears. I tried to talk to them, about not tearing the things apart, and finally I just had to turn my back and I just said, do what you gotta do. So I don't want to see it because I had spent so much time making the packages extra special. In the end, they only did a little bit, and the lady said, I can package it in a separate box and put it separate from your luggage, and then you won't have to have it all taken apart. I said, whatever you got to do, that's okay. But interesting, things you don't anticipate. When I was in Israel, 2 of the years I was working at the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem, and one of the things that the embassy does is holds a big Christmas/Hanukkah party for Jewish and Christian leaders, and it's a beautiful, sweet time together. And so the second year I was at the embassy, I got to decorate the embassy for the holidays, which was really fun for me. And earlier I told you that at my last session I told you I would let you know why I don't have my international ornaments anymore, and it's because the embassy really needed some lovely ornaments for the inside. We had a big menorah or Hanukkah out on the porch that was lit up. Each day of Hanukkah a new light would be lit with electric lights, and a Christmas tree out there, but we needed nice ornaments for inside. And I had really a nice selection that tied in Jewish and Christian traditions together, including a bunch of Magen Davids, which is the Star of David, in blue Delft china from the Netherlands that I had bought in the Netherlands, and the blue and the white, which are the national colors of Israel, and the Stars of David, tied the Jewishness into the Christmas decorations. And I also made a special art piece with a photo I'd taken of some dreidels, which are the spinning tops played with at Hanukkah. So I left all of those holiday decorations there at the embassy, including about 40 Christmas stockings with bears to be hung on the doorknobs around the embassy. So that's why I started fresh after I left Israel. But I still, back in the States, I keep up the tradition of teaching my children, students, friends, kids about Hanukkah, because God's faithfulness to the Jewish people is indicative of his faithfulness to us. Whether the gold coin is a latke, the fried pancake in oil, or the tzadika, the gifts of alms that you give in the box, whoops, or the lights that are lit each night for the 8 nights of Hanukkah. It's fun to teach children about, Christian kids, about the traditions of Hanukkah, and good for them to know about these true stories. This was about the Maccabees, right? The Lord giving the Maccabees victory so they could have religious freedom from their persecutors yet again. And I really believe that our lives are richer if we have Jew and Gentile believers together with the rich Jewish history and the revelation that the Christian brings. You know, I have Jewish friends who say, well, we do this and we do that, and I don't know why we do it. And I'm like, I know why you do it. Can I tell you? So I just think, yeah, we benefit as Christians to know about the Hebraic roots of our faith. And when we celebrate Purim and Hanukkah and Passover and all the high holy days, we garner so much. So actually, Israel was my favorite place to spend Christmas, and is my favorite place, period. When I was teaching in Kazakhstan, thankfully, one of my colleagues wrote to the shoebox people, Franklin Graham's ministry called
Operation Christmas Job?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm spacing at the moment. But anyway, she contacted them and said, could we get some shoe boxes at our school, because there's an orphanage here in Kazakhstan that we would like to take them to. Well, oh my goodness, I can just tell you there was not a dry eye among us when we delivered those boxes to children who had almost literally nothing. And so when they got a shoebox full of toys and art supplies and toothpaste and toothbrushes and combs and flip-flops and socks or underwear and toys and a jump rope, it was just the most, you tell you what, it's embarrassing to me, with the Christmas gifts that I've received over the years, to think that this, a shoebox full of these relatively small gifts is huge to so many people in the world. I'm sorry, to me it really helps establish in me a heart of thanks. And I guess this Christmas I would just encourage us all to be grateful for all of the huge blessings and goodness that God exhibits to us all year round, and to pray for those who have a lot less than we do, and especially those without religious freedom, and for reconciliation of Jews and Gentiles and the salvation of Israel, as God has said will be the case before Jesus comes back again. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and God bless each one of you. Thanks for sharing with me today.